Hello and welcome to a brand new series on the MegaBoy37 TD channel. This has been done to death, but I'm going to be going a lot further in my series than a lot of people do. But this series will be a what if episode for every single Total Drama and by extension Disventure Camp character on every single season. So this includes Action, World Tour, All-Stars, going down the list and seeing what they could have done differently, the one thing that got them eliminated, the one big thing, if that didn't happen. And we're going to be going in the elimination order, of course, so we're starting with Best Boy Ezekiel. So this video will be a title that has been done to death, I know, but we just got to start somewhere. What if Ezekiel wasn't sexist? Not that I think he actually was sexist, but whatever. What if he didn't say his stupid comment? So yeah, let's see what will change. Also, this is not one last thing. This is not how they can win. Some characters might be able to get themselves over one episode and then get out the next episode. That we would still continue the what if. The only reason we would stop is if it literally becomes the exact same thing. So yeah, let's get into it. We start with Not So Happy Campers Part 1, which is literally exactly the same. Like, literally nothing happens at all that's different. So we can just move on to Not So Happy Campers Part 2. And, in Not So Happy Campers Part 2, everyone that jumps off the cliff in canon still jumps off the cliff. In fact, once again, everything is the exact same all the way up until the dinner time. Ezekiel decides, I'm not changing his brain to not think the way he thinks. That's important for later. But he decides to go use the restroom, and because of that, never gets the chance to say his comment. So, when it comes to elimination, obviously, just as in canon, Courtney is pretty easily voted off. So, there's not much else to say there. She is very, very angry. Obviously, you can already tell, even if Ezekiel got voted out next, there's a huge ripple effect by Courtney not being here. So yeah, we'll get to the next episode, which is The Big Sleep. And I think that Ezekiel won't be much of a help in this challenge, honestly. I think he'd be one of the first ones to fall asleep. And now that Courtney's gone, they have even less girls to guys. So I think this is when, after waking up, Ezekiel will say his comment, putting a huge target on his back. But I think Bridget, Sadie, Katie, Eva, 4 votes. However, because of the whole MP3 player thing, I think Ezekiel, Tyler, Harold, DJ, Jeff, and Duncan all vote. Not that the guys just don't care about what Ezekiel said. They do. I just don't think they take as much offense to it as the girls, obviously. So I think they still vote out Eva because of Heather stealing her MP3 player. And Eva is still voted out. But Ezekiel is not viewed in a good light. So yeah, before we get to Dodge Brawl, I guess we should put our little alliances together. Heather still has her Lindsay Beth alliance. Gwen and Trent are still vibing. And everyone on this team is doing about the same. Meanwhile, on the Killer Bass, I think everybody's already kind of in their spots. Tyler and Lindsay still have their thing going on. And Ezekiel and Harold are not on good terms right now, but they will become friends eventually, as did happen in the first and second episode of Total Drama. They hung out a lot before Ezekiel said his dumb comment. So they're not on good terms right now, but they'll come together again. Also Katie and Sadie, obviously. So we'll put Bridget over here. Now for Dodge Brawl, we don't have Courtney, so you would think, oh no, we can't wake up Duncan. But I think as punishment for what he said, instead of voting him out, I think the girls, as well as the other guys, will tell him that he has to be the one to wake up Duncan. So Ezekiel goes, and Ezekiel wakes up Duncan, and Duncan beats his ass. And then and then I think the person to tell him that it would have to be, since Courtney's not here to tell him that he's going to be eliminated if he doesn't help. I think it'd probably be Jeff and DJ telling him that since they're all bros, telling him that all these people are probably going to vote him out if he doesn't help. So he still comes up with their strategy, and we freaking have the Screaming Gophers go to elimination, where it is pretty obviously Noah. Because of Ezekiel being here, and Courtney not being here, nothing actually changes on the Screaming Gophers just yet. So Noah still gets eliminated for not participating in the Dodge Brawl. Nothing too significant there. Then we have Not Quite Famous, where I think we don't have Courtney, so she's not gonna try to do her violin thing, and because of that, Bridget's never going to break it and piss her off. So I think it's just gonna be Bridget, I think it was, and then who else was it? I have the in canon thing on here, just so I know. Okay, so it's DJ as well with his ribbon dance, and then of course Justin was on here, Trent was on here. Who are the other? Was it only 4 people? No, Harold went on. I remember Harold going on. Who was the last person? Ah, duh. Yeah, Heather. Okay, so these 6 go up. But actually no, because Bridget breaks Harold's thing. But I guess because none of these people. No, yeah. Okay, I'm changing this. Okay, so since Harold doesn't have a chance to sneak in because of Courtney not having her thing broken, I think Duncan would just bully Harold out of the spot, and then Duncan would go up. And while Duncan would get a good score, he'd probably do like skull carving. I think Trent and Justin get hired, then obviously Throw Up Chick, the screwed up ribbon dance, and a cool skull. So I actually think the Killer Bass gets into elimination here. And because of that, here's how I think the votes play out. We have Duncan, DJ, Jeff, I think are all still bros. And Jeff is starting to develop feelings for Bridge. So I think the bottom 3 here are Katie, Sadie, and Ezekiel. I think Katie and Sadie vote for Ezekiel. They're just grossed out by him. I think Ezekiel, obviously wanting to get the girls off of his team, votes for Sadie, because I mean, just look at her. She's obviously the weakest link, and also he wants to get the girls off the team. So I think Duncan, Jeff, and DJ toss around the idea of getting out Ezekiel, but they decide to also go with, Katie, just to show Ezekiel that he's not in control, but also these 2 are really freaking annoying, and that's what they vote out Katie, not Sadie, in canon. I think Harold is starting to become more buddy with Ezekiel. They both feel left out by their team and made fun of. They're both made fun of a lot. So these 2 still vote Sadie, and then I think they rope in these 2 can rope in Bridget and Tyler. Actually, no, I think Bridget still votes Ezekiel. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 votes Ezekiel, 2 votes Sadie, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 votes Katie, which means Katie, I got a Discord notification, which means Katie is eliminated and Not Quite Famous. Then our next episode is the Sucky Outdoors. Now, one big thing here is without Katie being here, nobody gets lost, because Katie and Sadie eventually get lost in the cave where they have their whole argument. But that doesn't happen in this timeline because Katie isn't here. So because Sadie doesn't get lost, the Killer Bass pretty easily win. Which sends the Screaming Gophers to elimination. And things have died down a little bit since Heather did the diary thing. And I think if she was able to obviously get herself, Lindsay, and Beth on track to vote Justin right after it happened, as well as getting Owen and Izzy, albeit through some weird methods, and that ends up getting, I'm assuming Cody votes for Trent, because it would be a tie. So I'm assuming Cody still votes for Trent like he would. And then these 4 vote for Heather. Maybe not Justin. I don't know. It still is Justin eliminated in the Sucky Outdoors. So pretty much Justin and Katie kind of swapped spots there. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's how that works. So then we have Phobia Factor. For Phobia Factor, there is a couple changes. On the Screaming Gophers, it's still pretty much the same. But for the Killer Bass, without Courtney to encourage him, Duncan does not complete his fear. So if you go to the left, you complete your fear. If you go to the right, you don't. So Heather completes her fear. Lindsay completes her fear. Beth completes her fear. Owen, here, I can't remember if Owen. Yeah, I know Tyler doesn't. Who does and who doesn't? I guess I can't entirely remember. But I know the only people who do not complete it on this team is like Cody, and then what was Lashana's fear? I do not remember Lashana's fear at all. It was not. It doesn't matter. If I'm being completely honest, it does not matter because these people complete way more fears than these people. Tyler still fails his, Duncan still fails his, and they're sent to elimination again, where I think Duncan might get votes from Ezekiel and Harold. Sadie still votes for Ezekiel, but Ezekiel and Harold might already don't like Duncan for bullying them, and I think they're going to vote for him, but he's still got his guys. Bridget and Jeff are starting to get a little closer, not too close yet though, and they all still vote, as in Cannon Tyler out for being a weakling. So yeah, this leads us to Up the Creek, and in Up the Creek, I forget who even gets eliminated in this one. This is when... Okay, yeah, no, this is when originally Izzy gets voted out. So, I think this is the challenge where they have to go to the place and she sets off the explosion. I think everything goes about the same. They still have DJ to give them the speed boost. They still have Harold to burn the ores. So, everything goes pretty much the same here. And after they lose, it does not matter that Heather was about to get voted out because Izzy is chased away by the RCMP. So, Izzy is still eliminated here. Then we have Paintball Deer Hunt, and in Paintball Deer Hunt, originally, we had, like Beth betraying, her, but, it did not matter at all, because Cody gets medically evacuated. Now, actually, I don't think he gets medically evacuated. I think they just vote him out because he's useless, because he's been mauled by a bear. But I feel like Chris would have, like Season 1 Chris probably still would have medevaced him either way. So, yeah, Cody is pretty obviously eliminated still in the Paintball Deer Hunts. This leads us to If You Can't Take the Heat. And in If You Can't Take the Heat, we originally had... Just one second. Beth eliminated. And this is because of her idol getting exposed. Not her idol. Her curse. You know what I'm talking about. And I think there's not really much changes to the challenge portion of this. Once again, the only main difference on this team right now is that we don't have Courtney and we do have Ezekiel. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same. So, I think they still do not as good. Like, it's definitely shittier because Courtney would definitely be a lot better help than Ezekiel. But I still think they end up beating this team because they have Owen screw it up, Heather screw it up. Well, not screw it up, but they spend time wasting. They waste their time on Heather, just screwing around with her. But eventually, Beth's thing is found, and Beth is still eliminated. The image they have for this episode is funny. Okay, who can you trust? So this was the trust exercise one. This was a good episode originally. So for this one, we originally had Sadie voted out. And while I think the Screaming Gophers definitely still win, with Heather ripping off Gwen's thing and all that. That was definitely a moment. But everything still happens over here too. I think we have Ezekiel and Harold. I think they really want to get Duncan out. So they probably, since Harold wouldn't think of this normally, but since he already has a number in Ezekiel, I think they go and they apologize to Sadie and they promise to be good, to be chill, or at least Ezekiel does, and they make up. And Sadie's like, okay, but you have to do what I want. And Ezekiel's like, what do you want? And she's like, I want to get out Duncan. And that's like, well, that's what we want. So these 3 people vote Duncan. But it doesn't fucking matter because these 4 people are here. And they decide, yeah, let's just get out Sadie. So, well, actually, would they? Now that I think about it, they could just get out Ezekiel. To Sadie, but I think Ezekiel's better in challenges. Overall, Ezekiel's definitely a better player than Sadie in challenges. So I think it'd be like they would definitely have a hard time deciding, but I think they'd eventually decide to get out Sadie, and then they'll get out Ezekiel next. So yeah, then we have basic straining. This is the chef episode, if I'm correct. Yes, it is. This was another good one. Oh my goodness, this season was so peak. In basic straining, originally this is where Courtney got out due to Harold rigging the votes. And while I still think this whole thing happens, because Courtney isn't here, and Duncan, the only 4 people are Jeff and Bridget, who are together. Duncan is a bitch to both Ezekiel and Harold, and DJ, who's on their side. These 4 are obviously going to take these 2 out, and there's nothing they can do about it. These 4 are a solid group. So, Harold still rigs the votes, but this time without Courtney, he rigs them against Duncan. See what I mean? A lot of this was not too different, but then we have something like this happen, where now one of the final 4 members is eliminated in the pre-merge section. So, yeah, this leads us to our next episode, which is Extreme Torture. This was a funny one. In Extreme Torture, originally Harold got voted out after seeing Heather's breasts. And I don't know if they go Harold here, because with no reason, reason to assume that he's the one who rigged them, and Ezekiel being much more annoying, plus Ezekiel starting to show his crush on Bridget more and more every single episode, I believe they would decide against voting out Harold and instead vote out in a 3-2 vote Ezekiel. And there's nothing Harold can do about that. So then we have, I completely forgot to add these, so bear with me for a second, but we have our boys versus girls thing, and I actually don't know if we have an equal amount of boys to girls. I'm assuming we do, though. Let me check. If not, he can just do what he did with Cody and freaking put it be an all-girls team in one guy, and then be like, oh, it's all girls, and then that guy gets made fun of. So we have Heather. Yep, we have these 5. Oh, no, it is still 5. W. Okay, so we have these 5 versus these 5, and Harold is not nearly as good a competitor as Duncan, but I don't think it really matters when one of your competitors is one of your teammates is literally Owen. So I think the boys still win this. Not that it actually really matters though, because it's just a reward challenge. So we make it to the merge. Nothing too crazy with the merge, the only difference being Harold instead of Duncan, which actually is pretty interesting. So when the merge hits, we of course have No Pain, No Game. And this is when Izzy and Eva are brought back. I have no reason to assume these people would change, because apparently in universe Eva's considered fan favorite and Izzy was already hiding out on the island, and they're both already eliminated, so even at the same time, so I think they are both brought back for this. However, with Duncan and Harold both not doing anything to really change this, because Duncan didn't in the original and Harold probably wouldn't here, although the only thing I think would change is after finding the love note, Heather and not Heather, what the hell? Harold and Lashana would start dating. Yes, that is actually a thing. I think this would happen. But with that, I think it's even more encouragement for Lashana to beat Eva, and Eva is still eliminated in the episode she comes back in. So, yeah. Then in our next episode, we had Search and Do Not Destroy. But before that, really quick, let me get our alliances back on here. So we have Gwen and Trent. We have Harold and Lashana. Bridget and Jeff. I said that wrong, but whatever. We have a lot of freaking couples. Owen and Izzy are still, like, they're starting out. But we have Heather and Lindsay, and then I'll put Owen and Izzy right here. But, yeah. So, a lot of couples this season. Well, actually, 3 big couples right now. So, in this episode, we originally had freaking... Oh, is this the episode where this... Yeah, this is the episode where Heather kisses Trent. And, again, I think this would happen the exact same way. And with Harold and Lashana already being together... I think Harold would be even more disgusted that someone would do that. Now that he's in a relationship. Plus, it would be way easier for Lashana to convince Harold to vote than to convince Duncan, and it was easy to convince Duncan. So Trent is still eliminated in Search and Do Not Destroy. Then there is Hide and Be Sneaky. This was the freaking... Was this the one where it was just really stupid? No, it was Search and Do Not Destroy, where she just got the random immunity, which was where Heather got the random immunity, which was definitely interesting. But this is originally... Oh, this is originally when Bridget was eliminated. Yeah, I remember that. Once again... Well, actually, hold on. Because Bridget and Duncan are considered the final 2. I forgot what happens here. So they're gonna, they plan to vote. Oh yeah, so the Guys Alliance. Yes, the Guys Alliance does not exist. That's a big one. Not Owen. Jeff and DJ are still friends. So I will say that instead of the Guys Alliance, we have these 3, right? But Bridget is still becoming friends with the girls, some of the girls, like Gwen and Lashana, but with no Duncan to even bring up the idea, and also them only having 2 people, because they're not going to become friends with Owen. I mean, they'll still be friendly, but they're not going to be, like, in that whole alliance. I don't think they would vote for Bridget here. And also, I don't think any of the other people would vote for Bridget either. So, because of that, who got immunity this time? Let me see. Hold on. Lashana won immunity, which means I do think between Gwen, Harold, Lashana, Owen, Izzy, well, maybe not Izzy, just everybody in general, I do think this is the episode where Heather gets eliminated with no Duncan to orchestrate the Guys Alliance to save Heather's ass. I think Heather's plot armor does run out here, and that is where she is eliminated. So then we have That's Off the Chain, the bullshit episode. Now, not the same thing happens here. I think what would happen instead is... this is even more bullshit. So everything happens the exact same, except Harold is probably even worse than Duncan was, but he probably still makes that round for being a nerd, but he probably wipes out just before Duncan does in canon. Which means Lindsay, who's incredibly good at it, does not hold back at all, and zooms through the finish line. But nobody else does, meaning Lindsay is technically the last person, even though she wins, she's the last person to cross the finish line and is eliminated, which is so stupid, I know, but that's just how it's gotta be. Then there's Hook, Line, and Screamer, where I actually have debated on this one whether or not Harold would have a wimpier, not really kill, but you know what I mean, than DJ. But I still, actually, now that I think about it, there's no Heather to be in the shower to freak out DJ. That doesn't happen. So I still think DJ would get caught and then scream like crazy. But I do wonder, does DJ get eliminated? Because I could see Harold getting scared by some dumbass thing like Lashana or something trying to comfort him. I could see, because Harold's a wimp as well, and if DJ's by Jeff the entire time. Plus, well, no, because I guess Jeff gets, what would probably happen is Jeff gets lured away, DJ walks out, tries to find Jeff, and gets eliminated. So I actually think Harold is eliminated here for being the wimpiest, which is kind of wild that DJ outlasts this episode, because he almost never does. Then we have Wawanakwa Gone Wild. I don't actually remember. Oh, yeah, this is the one where they have to catch the animals. This is when Izzy is originally eliminated. But I think at this point, nobody really wants to vote out Owen, so I think that this is the point where this, like, kind of guys alliance kind of starts, but it's a lot nicer, and they let Bridget in. Because of this, they let Bridget know about the guys alliance, and Bridget is like, okay, as long as you keep me and Gwen safe. She's also kind of good with Lashana, so they're like, okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to do that because there's this few people left. So she's like, yeah, whatever for now, and because of that, they still vote off Izzy here. Then we have our next episode, the the Trial by Tri-Arm Triathlon. Wild freaking name. This is originally when Jeff gets out, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Yep, this is when Jeff gets eliminated. And, for this is because he's too likable, but I don't think that would realistically happen in this, because they still have this solid four. So who gets immunity here? I guess we can do the duos. So the duos would probably be, do they get to pick? I don't think they get to pick. Yeah, no, they definitely don't, because Heather and Owen are together. So Jeff and Gwen still happens. I think. Then we'll have probably Lashana and DJ probably have conflicting personalities, which leaves Owen with Bridget. So what I think this does is I think this gets Jeff and Gwen a lot closer together. Which means Jeff does not want to vote out Gwen like he was originally going to with DJ and Owen. But Bridget starts hating Owen this episode because Owen is so disgusting. So I think what actually happens is after the challenge, where realistically, honestly, with these duos, DJ and Lashana win immunity. They originally are gonna plan to get out Lashana, but with these two guys not being nearly as close to Owen as they are in canon, and Bridget hating Owen, and Jeff being friends with Gwen, along with Bridget being friends with Gwen, I think this pretty obviously gets Owen out. And then this leaves us with Hot Kampchor, which I don't think I said that right, but whatever. Sadie and Katie are still here and still eliminated, which means none of the actual stuff happens, where I think realistically Gwen would probably get out. I think instead Lashana just gets killed in the final five. So now we've reached our final four with only one person who was originally in our final four. See how much one little thing can change? This next person to get out is not in this episode. In Camp Castaway is I think DJ would freaking get absolutely terrified. But between Bridget, Gwen, and Jeff, I think they'd be able to get it done pretty quickly. So yeah. Then we have Are We There Yeti? I'm going to have to reset the recording in less than a minute. So we have Are We There Yeti? This was when Duncan got out. And I still think they're doing guys versus girls realistically. And also realistically, DJ's freaked out by the dark probably, and Jeff is an idiot. So I think the girls pretty handily beat this. And I think Chef, who gets to decide who's eliminated, Chef in canon, later in action, tries to make his alliance with DJ. But right now, since that hasn't happened, I think he just considers DJ a huge wimp, and someone undeserving of getting so far. So I think realistically, he gets eliminated right here. I will reset the recording and be right back with our final three. Okay, that was like less than 10 seconds. We're back. Okay, so for Jeff, Bridget, and Gwen, we get to I Triple Dog Dare You. And this would be a lot kinder than in canon. I think, honestly, I don't think anybody's teaming up on anybody. Because these two are both great friends with Gwen. While Gwen is great friends with these two, and these two are together. So I think it would be a lot kinder. Nobody teaming up on anybody. And I think just the person who has the least endurance here, I'm sorry, but that's gotta be Bridget. I mean, when she lasted that long doing that kind of stuff in the original, in canon, while Jeff dove in a toilet, so like in canon as well. So I think it's just pretty obvious that these two have a higher endurance than Bridget, who doesn't really show any massive endurance feats. So this leads us to our finale, where I personally think the person with the winning arc here, honestly, it's kind of 50-50. Gwen still has her arc almost exactly like in canon, while Jeff is the same thing, just a lot closer to Gwen. As for the finale, the only real things that are different, honestly, not too much. I think, besides, yeah, I think Jeff would still have the thing for the party. He'd probably do the same thing as Owen, where he'd try to throw a party. So I think that would probably mean by default Jeff is probably the winner, because he would definitely be the one to blow the 100,000. So I think he'd probably be the, for a chance of 1 million. So I think he'd probably be the winner. So yeah, everyone who rooted for Owen probably roots for Jeff, and everyone who rooted for Gwen and Cannon still roots for her. That is going to do it for what if Ezekiel didn't say his comment originally. You can see how crazy some of these changes are. If you disagree with anything, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch y'all in the next one where we will be doing Eva. Alright, bye.